some breaking news, in case you hadn't heard, from the USGA and RNA on Tuesday. They're re-engaging with the golf industry on the Distance Insight project, which aims to help achieve a more sustainable long-term future for golf. The governing bodies are issuing specific areas of interest to help mitigate continuing distance increases, and three proposed changes to the equipment rules to ensure their effectiveness in relation to distance limits. The areas of interest notice sent on Monday to golf equipment manufacturers follows the conclusions of the Distance Insights report delivered last February. It is the first step of the established equipment rulemaking procedures, which give the opportunity for golf stakeholders to provide research and perspectives on the topics that might lead to equipment rules changes. In addition, three proposals related to equipment standards were also sent to the manufacturers yesterday and have been published. Two to modernize equipment testing protocols, and the other to consider the adoption of a model local rule that would provide flexibility for committees, if they so choose, to limit the maximum length for clubs other than putters from 48 to 46 inches. Notice and comment periods have begun immediately to invite feedback on each of the three proposals from golf industry stakeholders. Earlier today, some thoughts from the USGA and the RNA.
The key message is that last February, before the pandemic really changed all of our lives, we had finished 2 years research into the impact of distance on our sport. And at that point, we said that longer distances, longer courses, longer time to play is taking the game in the wrong direction. We have been on hold for a year because of the pandemic. And today is an important day for the sport, because this is the next stage of that debate, and hopefully the next stage of very constructive, serious debate about how we take our sport forward.
We have this cycle of increasing hitting distance that's been going on generation after generation, and we believe it's going to continue. And Jaime, what this has done, this increased hitting distance, is it's caused golf courses around the world to change. And when golf courses lengthen or they change, they move bunkers, they plant trees, this costs the game money. It costs the game more time to play because you're playing on a bigger golf course, big arena, so to speak. It costs the game more resources like water, like maintenance, labor, all of which are not friendly to the environment. And for those golf courses that can't lengthen, and certainly we know some of the old gems of the so-called golden era, when they can't expand, architectural integrity, at least for some golfers, are compromised, or the variety of skills that's taken by some players really is lessened and compromised.
The main issue, as I see it, is that continuing length is not the right thing for the game, from terms of distance, from terms of time to play, from sustainability. But for me, the really important thing is this balance between skill and technology. And technology is great in helping the difficult game make it a little bit easier. But at the very elite level, perhaps that balance is not there. So this is an area of research into how
is about engaging with golf equipment manufacturers, different industry organizations, and golfers themselves. And we're going to get this right. It won't again happen tomorrow, but the time is right now. We've been putting this off way too long, and this really is about the long-term health and enjoyment for the game and for future generations.
As we look at today, what we've issued are very technical documents. It's part of our rulemaking procedure that we follow with the equipment manufacturers. What this means for golfers at large, look, last February we came out with our distance report where we identified that there's a problem of distance, golf courses continuing to lengthen, drive distance continuing to lengthen, and we wanted to identify solutions. We were going to enter the research phase last year. However, we went on pause simply because of COVID. And so today, the documents we've released are just that. They're areas of research that we want to engage with the manufacturing community on to look at long-term solutions. Nothing's happening overnight. Nothing's happening tomorrow. This is about, the long-term health of the game, and this really is that first step in our journey on finding solutions.
Okay, so as the R&A and the USGA announce research topics and proposed changes, here's a look at their procedures regarding equipment rulemaking, and this includes publishing comments received to a proposed rule change and facilitating transition to newly adopted rules. So let's bring in the rest of our crew. Jaime Diaz, Trip Eisenhower, and Paige McKenzie. Jaime, this is quite the complicated topic. What's your biggest takeaway of all of this so far?
Well, it is complicated, but, golf's an old game, and I think it fits that it's going to take some time to do this. I am heartened, however, by seeing the early reaction like Bryson DeChambeau saying, I don't really fear a rollback. And I think traditionally the better players don't fear the game getting harder in some way, or at least the ball not going quite as far, distance being not quite as huge of an advantage, because they want to see the skill retained in the game, as Martin Slumbers was mentioning. And I think this is good for the overall health of the game in terms of the relationship between all the people who make these decisions. They won't be fighting. I think they'll be cooperating, and I think they're going to end up in a good place.
Yeah, and I think that putting to bed the fact that this is making the game harder is a good thing. We need to put that to bed, because the reality is you can always tee it forward. The only people that are going to be affected are the shortest of the hitters, and we need to just make sure as an industry that we're accommodating with forward-most tees. So I appreciate all of the comments that we've heard so far, and think that at least they're not kicking the can down the road anymore. And I appreciate the fact that the USGA is attempting to tackle this in a collaborative way with the manufacturers.
Yeah, without bifurcation, this is going to be a tightrope to walk, and that's why they're going to take their time and make sure that they walk it correctly. And I'm just glad they're having a comprehensive approach. But let's be clear, the focus is going to be on the elite players, and it's going to be because they're the ones that are gaining the distance. And for the recreational golfer, everybody should be making the game as easy as possible and as accommodating as possible. But the biggest aspect of it to me overall is the reduction in time of play. And that's going to be the best thing for bringing in new people to the sport, because right now that's one of the barriers. And I think this is an aspect of it that they put into their comprehensive approach.
Thomas Pagel said it. This is a very, very complicated document, but it's important for those who are watching to remember this does not mean that they are taking drivers off the rack in your pro shops or asking you not to play the balls that are in your golf bag.